Welcome to Mindful Awareness, where we explore the incredible power of the mind to transform our lives. I'm Yuri Garcia, your host and consulting hypnotist. Today, we're diving into a topic that many of us struggle with, the fear of failure. The fear of failure can be paralyzing, keeping us from pursuing our goals, dreams, and even everyday opportunities. It's a fear that often stems from deep-rooted beliefs about ourselves and our abilities, beliefs that can be challenging to overcome. But here's the good news. By using hypnosis, we can address these fears at their source, the subconscious mind. Today, I want to share some insights and techniques that can help you break free from the fear of failure and move forward with confidence. First, let's talk about where this fear comes from. The fear of failure is usually tied to past experiences or learned behaviors. It might be something as simple as a critical comment from a teacher or a parent, or it could be a pattern of negative thinking that has built up over time. These experiences create a mental barrier that tells us you're not good enough or you'll never succeed. Through hypnosis, we can begin to rewrite these narratives. When you enter a state of deep relaxation, your subconscious mind becomes more receptive to positive suggestions. By introducing new, empowering beliefs, we can help dismantle the fear of failure and replace it with a mindset of resilience and determination. And in this specific episode, we'll be talking about the fear of failure predominantly in business. But if you're not in business, or you maybe think about monetizing your passion, maybe who knows, wherever you are, you can still relate it to yourself. But it is going to be one of those things where we're talking about when it comes to the business side, the fear of failure. And it's going to be in two phases that I've noticed when I work with my clients. You see whether you've got that passion or whether you are successful already. There's going to be directly applicable to you and your success. And yes, we could change it to our career, we could change it to a goal and dream that we have. So don't feel excluded here, but the word is going to be more around the business side, and I might tap into the career, but it's about any goal and any outcome ultimately. So however you do it is absolutely fine when it comes to this episode. So what is the fear of failure and why is it important to understand it? Number one, obviously we have fears, worries, and doubts about what may happen. Is it going to work out? And the first phase, if we break it down, is if you maybe have a goal and dream. Maybe you're a therapist, a newly practitioner or something. Or maybe you've got a hobby and you really want to go for that dream of yours. Then the chances are you're going to fear the failure. You're going to think that maybe what's going to happen? What if I fail? What if I succeed? What if I'm not enough? What will people think of me if I start up my own business? What will the economy be doing when I'm starting up my business? All of these kind of thoughts that we have, which will begin to sabotage us. And then the second phase is once you've had the success, and then the creeping that creeping of the fear really starts to kick up. So let's approach it with that latter one first. Now, when I work my clients, many of them started with nothing. You see, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and these entrepreneurs with a great level of success. Maybe they're doing from $5,000, $10,000 a month. Some clients go up to $100,000 or $200,000 per month. So varies dramatically with the people that I work with. And one thing that I've noticed in the trend is the beauty of being able to work with many different kinds of people, whether it be the business entrepreneurs or people in high-end CEO positions. I've noticed a trend that you can start to apply to yourself, that you can begin to recognize that kind of strategy. You can begin to recognize that, oh, am I actually playing this out? Because sometimes you will know that you are actually having the fear of failure. You may have a conscious understanding of it or a conscious idea of it, but beneath the surface, it may be playing out at a far bigger, larger level than you can even imagine. And you may be missing out on so many opportunities. So when it comes to the fear of failure for those who are now successful, when we break it down in the beginning of that journey, most of the time there's not much to lose because we've got nothing to lose. we haven't got the successful business or the successful career. So therefore, we are going all out on something. I've noticed this within myself, and I've noticed it with my clients. They're just going for it, and they want to be able to monetize their passion or deliver a service to help people. That's where the fuel really comes from. And yes, it can be about money and things like that, because why not? Wealth is good because that means you can help and serve more people. But in the beginning, because I didn't have anything to lose, the fear is far less, right? It's still there, but that fear can actually push us forward. But somewhere down the land, the scales start to turn. It's almost like the success that you achieve, the wealth that you achieve. Maybe you scale up your business or your career to such a high level that something interesting starts to happen when you had nothing to lose. Now you can have everything to lose. Now think about that, right? You had nothing. Now you've got everything you could lose. You could lose that income overnight. Someone may steal that money, the economy might crash, and after a while that fear of failure starts to kick in. That fear of failure just starts to go, oh my goodness, all of these things may be getting in my way. And then you start to miss out on the opportunities. You start to self-sabotage yourself. You wake up with that stress of, I hope another email doesn't come through today. Or what if the production doesn't work out? What if I can't deliver on a certain fulfillment? What if I am in a meeting and people begin to think I'm a fraud? Maybe I don't deserve to be here. Maybe I don't deserve to be a business owner. You see, that fear of failure will start to kick in when you are successful, as much as it is when you are not successful. But those who start off are usually going all out with that fear of failure, And then they start to get so much success and abundance. They start to get paranoid. They start to get that anxiety, and they start to think, oh my goodness, maybe I was a fraud. Maybe I might lose everything, the house might go if the economy changes. And if we break it down as a protection mechanism, your unconscious mind is trying to make you aware of all the things that you've earned, all the stuff that you've earned, and that you may lose it at any given moment. And that causes us to feel like I don't have the ability to make that change. We start to listen to the external noise of what people are saying, what our partner is saying, what our other colleagues are saying, or our entrepreneurial friends are saying in their issues, in their business, or the economy, or social media. We start to allow that noise to cloud our judgment. And that paranoia of the fear of failure causes us to be paralyzed. In fact, to the point that sometimes it'll stop you doing the thing that you are good at. Because the other aspects of this is that most of the time when you have that level of success, as you are growing, you are doing the thing that you love. And now suddenly you're a business owner, you've got employees, you're doing turnover of $1 million or $2 million a month or a year. Now suddenly you've got all these other responsibilities, and it pulls you out of the thing that you enjoy the most. So now you are definitely doubting. Now you're definitely having that fear of failure. So hopefully that makes sense of how and why that fear of failure kicks into the successful person. Because most people think, well, they're so successful, of course they don't doubt themselves, or most of my clients are very successful. And that happens. So if you're not there yet, be aware of what I'm about to say as we go through this episode, because it may save your business, it may save your finances. It may not have to crumble down all around you. And more importantly, your health won't suffer because of it. Now, if we go back to the first phase of even starting a business or starting a goal and dream, you will get that external noise from the beginning. If you allow other people's sounds and their beliefs to be projected onto you, if you start to assume that you can't achieve those to be a full-time business owner, you will self-sabotage by the nature of listening to them. You'll start to speak that story within yourself. Now, the other comparison is this, and it goes into the latter example of being successful. You don't know what it's always like to be that success yet, right? When you're starting out in business, of course you can have a fear of failure because of that past programming based on what society thinks of us. Because on the whole, most people aren't entrepreneurs or business people. They're usually employees in a company of some sort. So they don't understand it, and also you don't understand it. You haven't got that knowledge to navigate that stormy ocean waves and all those kind of things. So if you don't know it, you'll start to doubt it because you don't know what you don't know. So that fear will start to creep in, and you'll start to be paralyzed once again by the lack of knowledge. And if we go into the successful mindset of this person who has made it, then starts to have that fear of failure. Now they don't know what the next step is. They've been disconnected. So either way, in the two phases, that fear of failure will begin to appear unless you are in self-starting, which most people are not. So the question is, how do we stop both of those? Now, if we bring it back to the intention of safety, that intention of your unconscious mind, the fear of failure is trying to protect you. So it's your job 100% to get your unconscious mind, or number one, to stop listening to other people who do not know about business. Because I can promise you everyone has opinions, but whether they're true or not is completely different. You can have an opinion on how hard it is to run a business, and you've never run a business. We always have opinions, and sometimes we take on those opinions. So number one, be conscious of who are you listening to, and we can expand that out to everything. Are we listening to relationship advice from someone who has a horrendous history of relationships? Are we listening to someone about being confident when they're actually pretty depressed? Are we listening about health advice from someone who's not very healthy? You've got to really be aware of who are you listening to, your passion, your purpose of wanting to run your own business, creating that fear of failure. Is that noise really who you're listening to? Is that drowning? Is it lifting you up, making you bigger and bolder? Is it making you shrink? If you find yourself feeling heavier, find yourself shrinking down in the advice and the opinions of others, then you may want to be able to check for a second opinion or a third or a fourth or a fifth and someone. So let's get clear on that. Then, as we said, we've got to understand that, look, our unconscious mind is trying to protect us. Once we take on those opinions or the past situations that we've been through where we may have failed before, all those kind of things, we've got to break free of that. Your unconscious mind is only running this to try to protect you. And if it's trying to protect you, you've got to drain it back in. You've got to go, look, I'm ready to retrain my unconscious mind. That is simply a level of conditioning that I'm experiencing, that conditioned belief system. That's all. It's not who you are. That fear of failure, that's not who you are. It's an aspect story that you're playing out right now. So you've got to check yourself to realize that your unconscious mind is running this process. It's running a strategy that has been conditioned into you, but feels like it's real, but feels like it's your identity. But it's not who you are. It's just who you've become right now. You have changed many, many times throughout the past. There's been many evolutions of you. So we've got to break that chain and go, I'm going to go all in on retraining my unconscious mind. If you can let it go, you click your fingers and let it go. Any issue, click your fingers and let it go if you could. If you cannot, it must mean your unconscious mind is running the issue. And if it's running the issue, we've got to go, look, I'm going to work solely on my unconscious mind to retrain it to realize that yes, and we're going to get into this. Yes, there are some potential, but just because I might so-called fail in certain ways of getting to the top, it doesn't mean I've got to be held back. Failure is okay if you learn from it. I like to think just suck less at doing something. Think about that as a mindset not to be perfect. Just suck less at doing the thing that you're doing. If you are not that good at running a business right now, or just start to suck less at running that business, or start to do something. So wherever you frame your reference, suck less or get better, it's entirely up to you. But everyone started out in business not knowing how to run a business. They didn't have that experience. They may have modeled it from their family. I mean, I didn't have that, unfortunately. But even still, they've got to apply it to themselves. And there's different perceptions, different industries, different niches. So start to go all in and working with your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is going to be the game changer. Because if you could let it go by yourself, you would have by now. So if we think about the self-sabotage, whether it be just starting out in business or whether you've got that level of success, and you are petrified of losing it. You are petrified of the fear of failure. You are petrified that it might all crumble. Well, we've got to be more stoic in its nature. We've got to conquer that anxiety by retraining it, by looking into why it's happening. What is the intent? What are the situations that it shows up? And by being stoic, I'm talking about being at peace with certain circumstances. Now, sometimes they're going to get a little bit counterintuitive, or being at peace with what might happen. Sometimes what might happen doesn't have to be any of your business. It doesn't. If your economy happens to crash, make it not your business. And you might be going, well, that's impossible. No, not all the time an economy crashes, or like the last 2 years. Some of the greatest innovations come out. That's where you start to get creative, when things are all good. That is when there's harmony. That's where there's that plateau of success, because there's nothing pushing us forward. It's only usually in the crisis that does innovation appear in society. So be at peace that sometimes things will happen, they will happen, and maybe it's an opportunity for you to start to get innovative in being evolving to your environment, because the personal or the system with the most flexibility will control the environment. The person who is stuck and rigid and fear-based and paralyzed, of course, they're not going to succeed. It's impossible, because they're reactive. They're not anticipation. And that's another point. There's a difference between being anxious and anticipation. If you think of two athletes, one, and they both have a talent. In fact, one has more talent, but they are operating from anxiety, fear-based reaction. But the other one with less talent is operating from anticipation. The chances are the person with the anticipation with less talent is going to do so much better, because the other person is just reactive, just fear-based, just anxious. They're closed up, they're paralyzed. So recognize that we've got to get into that anticipation mode, and that is the stoic nature. Be at peace, but might happen. So if we put it in the context of the nature of business, whether you are starting out or wanting to start out, but you're paralyzed by the fear of failure to get going, or you've got a level of success, yet you are now paralyzed because, oh my goodness, I might lose it all. Well, you've got to become more stoic in the nature of all the things which could go wrong, be at peace with them, and number two, come up with a plan to be able to adapt to the situation. That is the evolution. That is the transformation. So if we go into both sides, they still operate the same stories, but one has nothing and one has everything, yet they still are paralyzed by that fear of failure, because we start to doubt ourself. We start to think, maybe it was all a fluke, maybe I was just lucky, maybe I'm not enough, maybe I'm not worthy, maybe I'm not capable, maybe I have that fear of what might happen when that happens. It's your time to take action on it, to assume that ultimate responsibility. But this is your life, that this is your opportunity to really go all in on your development, to go all in and go, look, I'm going to get this covered. I don't know how, but I'm going to look for the opportunity. I'm going to look for how I can overcome the fear of failure. I'm going to look to how I can grow myself. So even before it happens, I can start to think about it in such a way that you see, when you have a plan in mind and you are prepared for what may happen or the good things which will happen, you have an opportunity to notice how you're going to react in the future. It takes the weight off your shoulders. It allows you just to feel good, because you are now in alignments. You're in alignment with who and where you are heading and who you're about to become. If you have that fear of failure, think about it as an analogy of resistance. It is pulling you back. It is holding you back or pulling you down, because you are in these two mindsets. I really want this. But on the other hand, we're like, there's a part of me holding me back. I really want this change. But a part of me is running this fair. That resistance, that conflict is going to cause you to feel separated from that goal and dream. And that is where you get conflicted results. That is where you don't get those dreams. That is where you don't step out your comfort zone. So go on a journey of integration. Go on a journey of recapturing that essence of your unconscious mind and bringing it with you, so you are still safe, but you are fully, deeply aligned with who you are, where you are heading. Think about this, whether you want to have that business, but you have the fear of failure, whether you have that business, but you've got all that fear of loss happening right now. The fear of what might happen, you've got to connect to your dream. Why are we doing this in the first place? Do what you love to have the finances, the freedom to travel wherever you want to make an impact in the world and the service that you are providing. Tap into your vision, tap into your mission, tap into that ambition of the greater goal of things for when you do. That'll be your driving force to go. Do you know what? I don't want just to be good or okay at business. I want to be the best in business so I can inspire others, so I can actually start to contribute to charities. I can make a difference to those that I serve, but I can start to wake up every day excited to monetize my passion so I can deliver so much more greatness in the world because I'm needed and I'm wanted, and people are wanting all of this greatness from me. I tap into that vision and then go all in on letting go of that fear of failure. We've covered different aspects of that. You've got to retrain your unconscious mind. And of course, if you need help with that, if you have that fear of failure and you're ready to go all in and make that change, you can go to www.mindfulawarenessllc.shop and book a call now. What happens? You're applying for the Be a Part of the program. We'll get clear of what you want to let go of. We figure out exactly what that goal and dream is, and we'll get clear on what's the unconscious block and come up with a plan to make it a reality. If you are a good fit, like I said, I work with people that I love to work with. I just love working with people who are like me, who are ready to go all in and just match that enthusiasm. We will make the great partnership of transformation that you've ever had in your life. If that is something that you are willing, you are resourceful, that you're willing, that you are determined, you're willing to do whatever it takes for when you do that is when life transforms. That is what I'm talking about. That is where I'm heading with my people. Once again, you've got to apply for it. You got to talk to us first. We don't let anyone in. You've got to be a right fit so we can serve you 100%, get your success, and better more, we let it go all within 4 weeks. It'll allow you to just make the changes that you want. That's what we're here for. But with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to speaking to you on a future one. Remember, dream big, but act bigger. Learn, grow, transform, change. It is all within you. Do not let the fear of failure get in your way, because I believe in you and you've got difference to make in the world. You deserve it. So let's go ahead and make that happen. Talk to you soon.